Hi everyone. Today we're talking about training. In particular, we're going over a very common term in the bodybuilding world: junk volume, which refers to any training you do that takes up time and energy, but has no actual benefit in terms of muscle or strength gain. So it's just a waste of time, and you want to avoid it. I'll tell you how to do it. So stay with me. Volume is the amount of work, or simply the number of hard sets that you do, and junk is garbage. It's not actually worth anything, and as we'll see, the scientific evidence that shows that junk volume is a real phenomenon, and I think that is holding many of you back from getting the gains that you want. Let's take a look at the three most common types of junk volume and how we can avoid all three. The first one is excessive volume per workout. Let's say you're training your chest with a flat barbell press. You'll do the first working set for 8 to 10 reps with an RP of 2 reps before failure. This set is really good because you're pushing hard and giving pec enough stimulus to grow, so it is effective volume. But if you keep adding sets, thinking that you'll get always the same amount of stimulus, with every set you add you'll get less of it up to the point you get no stimulus, but just junk volume. But at what point does it become junk? Let's take a look at this meta-analysis from James Krieger, which pulled the results of 9 separate studies looking at the impact of adding sets on hypertrophy. We see a pretty clear benefit in terms of muscle growth with 6 sets per day, but once you go above these 6 sets, you hit a pretty hard plateau and maybe even regress a bit. Science is pretty clear that 10 to 20 sets per muscle group per week is the right amount to provide a good stimulus without overtrain and get junk volume. So, while here we're talking about volume per day, you should also be considering that you have to split your weekly volume during your training session. So, according to the previous mentioned meta-analysis, you should not go over 6 sets per muscle group per day. The extra sets probably aren't doing much to help grow your chest, and at a certain point they could be counterproductive, because now your chest is going to have a harder time recovering from all that volume. Of course, those 6 sets doesn't have to be on the same exercise. So for example, you can do 3 sets of flat chest press, and then 3 sets of chest fly. But don't go over those 6 sets. In fact, if after those 2 exercises, you go and do an inclined dumbbell press, you're probably going into junk volume territory. However, if you feel like you really need that much chest volume in order to keep progressing, you'd be better off either splitting those extra sets out into separate workouts, or maybe you don't actually need as much volume as you think you do, and you'd be better off keeping your volume the same and instead focusing on other variables like your technique execution and effort per set. Now, before we go any further, I need to make a few important caveats. First, if you look at Krieger's volume graph, you'll notice that there's a lot of variance in the data. This means that for any given volume, there's a big range in terms of muscle growth for different studies in different individuals. This line is simply reporting the average trend, so on average, most people won't get more gains out of doing more than 6 sets for a muscle in a single workout. But no doubt some of you watching this video have volume curves that look something more like this, and you might not run into junk volume until you reach 10 or 12 sets, possibly more. So, this trend line should be your starting place, and then you'll want to adjust the numbers up or down as you assess your own progress and recovery. Also, you have to consider how often you incorporate failure into your workout. If you use it really often, then probably you don't need many sets. Otherwise, you risk impairing your body's ability to proper recover, and you risk only overtraining. But you don't have to get 6 sets per every muscle group. In fact, if you're training your back, you're also working your biceps. So for your biceps, you can only do 3 sets of curl, because you've already worked them while doing your back exercises. So 6 sets should be seen as an upper threshold per workout, not a minimum threshold that you need to hit every time you train a muscle. Also, I think these numbers differ depending on body part. For example, bigger muscles can tolerate more volume. In fact, your back, glutes, and legs benefits more for doing more volume, and you can get up to 10 to 12 sets per day for those muscles. So, to sum it up, it's important to plan correctly your training volume in order to get effective volume and not junk volume. So, if you can training each body part at least twice a week with a push-pull leg split will make you get a better stimulus to optimize muscle growth. However, if you don't have time to get to the gym 6 times a week, it's not a problem. In this case, you really should focus on your form and training as hard as possible, because you have to get more intensity to compensate for the volume you can't do, because you don't have enough time. The next type of junk volume that I want to look at is easy sets, and I do think this is the most common and most pernicious type of junk volume that there is. In fact, beginners and average lifters usually don't train hard enough. Research shows that when people are left to their own devices, most lifters don't train hard enough to maximize muscle growth past the newbie phase. So, if you really want to grow your muscle, you should train aiming finishing your sets within 0 to 3 reps from failure, and it'd be smart to take some of those sets all the way to failure. The last type of junk volume that I want to quickly mention is ultra-high rep sets. So anything upwards of 40 to 50 reps and similar as so-called easy sets. Research shows that you can train too light even if you go to failure with those high rep set, and that cutoff seems to be somewhere in the range of 20 of your 1 rep max. So don't do those ultra sets, they are pointless. If you want to do a train more oriented to endurance, rather than pure strength, then don't go past 30 reps at max. If you want more information on nutrition and diet, don't forget to check out my nutrition and diet book. Hope you like the video. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, like and share it with your friends. See you on the next one.